everything's great. Everything is awesome.
What are you doing? What are you doing? I gotta fix the title on this thing. It's all wrong. Y'all got me all flustered, and I don't know what I'm doing. It's a scary thing. Mr. Brenny, sir, thank you very much for the resub. Morgue meme? Heck you! What's going on, sister? What is today's topic? What did they say it was going to be? What did they say it was going to be? I forget. Oh, what's your response? That's what it was. What? Your response. Done. Topic. Why? You can never leave. You're not allowed to leave. What's going on, everybody? Hope you had a great weekend. How is Morgue Meme and Mr. Brenny doing today? I'm going through my mountain of paperwork here, trying to figure out what my notes are for today and what exactly I want to talk about, because I have a few ideas what I want to say. And why am I talking like this? You're bored. I bet you are, Morgue. You've been working your butt off for so long. Ooh, that's a good thing to look at. You know, all these weeks of doing great things, and then all of a sudden somebody says to you in one sentence, we're going to take a break. And that sucks. It's not fair. You know, we were just talking about that, Morgue. This idea of, you know, I would hate to be a senior, not a senior citizen, a senior in like university or college or whatever the case is right now, especially like even, I mean, to put it one step further, like a senior like who's in sports. You know, like my son is a prime example. He's a senior and he plays soccer, and, you know, he was just told he's going to have a very specific playing opportunity he's not had in the 4 years previous, and now his whole senior year season is at risk, and it's very likely he's not going to get the amazing opportunity that was going to be given to him. You know? And so, I mean, aside from the idea of getting sick, you know, how do we as a community, and that's part of what I want to talk about today, is this idea of community, you know, because, I mean, I worry about my kids too. And I don't mean my kids, my biological, I mean the kids here at Rise Above. The realization is that we're telling our kids to stay home. in some cases, right? These kids are already, say scary times, but I mean, think about the specific population that we're talking about. It's already scary. It's been scary for most of their lives. And now here we're intentionally now, those who come to help are intentionally saying to them, we're not here, we're not available to help anymore. Right? And I think that's probably one of the things that tears people like you and I up, that do this work every day the most is, we pride ourselves on being the ones that walk into the line of fire, And how do you continue, especially when someone like myself, who can, the church traditionally has been the ones. Think of the plague. I mean, Brendan, you're in Europe. You know what I'm talking about. The Black Plague. Who was it during the Black Plague that went where nobody else would go? And I'll give you a hint. It starts with ch and ends in urch. Historically, the church is the group. And now here, and I digress. Because, here we have the state saying the church is no longer allowed to gather. They're mandating the dispersion of the church. Right? And so, urchins? What? I don't get it. I don't want urchins in my house. I've heard church people called leeches before, but never urchins. So I want to revisit this idea of community and what is it, right? This idea of when we talk about what our kids need, Morg. This will be a really good one for you. We talk about what our kids need. Community is number one. I should qualify that, say healthy community, right? Is number one. Because there's a reality that we face that the more we isolate ourselves, logically, the less we are in community. What's up, MLA? What's happening? Glad you're here. Guidance from a healthy community. Yeah, exactly. It's not just to say that I'm around people. It's critical that we put ourselves in good situations. When you want a doctor, you just don't go to any doctor. You go to a doctor that you know and that you trust. That you know to be good at his or her craft, right? Because trust is huge, right? Yeah, I'm doing okay, MLA. Thanks for asking. I've always been curious. The name MLA Format. Where did it come from, and how did you choose it as a name? Do you use it everywhere, or was it just something that you used here? Yeah, I was surprised when. Hey, Anna Forrest, thanks for popping in. Appreciate you. Trust is huge, and let's start there for a second. Let's take 2 seconds, if we may. Oh, Emily, I got you. That is a great play on words. Yeah. That's awesome. GG on that. So trust is something that we've talked about, obviously, trust being huge. The one thing that we use a lot, and I mean a lot, here at Rise Above is this idea of trust, obedience, challenge, change, growth, right? We talk about the idea of everything starts with trust. If you don't trust somebody, especially somebody you've just met, right? If you're in a place where you're like, I don't know about this guy. She seems kind of fishy. I don't know that, whatever, whether it be... And honestly, our first response is how somebody looks. The second response is how somebody sounds, right? And then we start judging them based on their words and their actions. The reality is that, if you don't come across in a way that is trustworthy, people are going to be, and that's a great word, guarded. People are going to be extremely guarded when you say and do things around them, right? They're gonna respond in a different way than if they did indeed trust you. So I mean, one of the things, we talk about building healthy relationships, when we talk about healthy communities, it is firmly based on this mutual agreement that you're going to do what you say you're going to do, and I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. Is that a fair assessment of community? Because I think for me, it is literally foundational that unless you have that in place, you literally struggle to do everything else. What's up, Rabbi? Glad you could make it in, buddy. I miss you, man. And so here's the question for you. So I've talked about this a few different times on stream, Anna. Trust being something that I don't think just you, I think everyone struggles with it, right? And the question I ask is, why do you think you struggle with it? Is it something where we start in a place of distrust? Or is hey, Marika, glad you could make it, kiddo. Or is distrust something that is learned? Is it a behavior that we somehow develop over time that I just, because Anna did this one thing this one time, I just don't trust Anna. What is that one thing? Being let down over the years in certain situations, it's a learned behavior that you adapt. Yours is from so it's a learned. You're saying it's a life event, so it's a learned behavior. So the scenario I give all the time is with me and my students here, where I say, because very often we do this with our students, is we say, hey, Michael, Mike, we're doing this thing on Saturday. It's 3:00. I'll pick you up at 3:00. I'll drive you there and I'll bring you home. No problem. Michael's like, yeah, that's awesome. Sounds really exciting, Mr. Fernandez. I'm so happy that you invited me. Perfect, no problem. Saturday rolls around, 3:00 rolls around. Michael's at the door. He's all pumped. Got his shoes on, got his coat on. He's all ready to go, and I don't show up. Right. So Monday rolls around, and Michael comes to school and he's like, "Hey, Mr. Fernandez, kind of missed you." It's like, "Oh yeah, Michael, sorry about that, buddy. I just, that thing happened on Saturday, and I just never got around to picking you up. I'm sorry, but it's this weekend again. They're doing the thing again, so I'll be there. I'm going to be there early this time, and I'll pick you up, and we'll go grab a coffee first, so that, and kind of chill out and relax, and then we'll go to the event." And so Michael's like, "Yeah, okay, I'll go. Sure, I'll pick you up. Coffee sounds good, And then so Saturday comes around again, and Michael's at the door. He's got his coat on. He's got his shoes on, and I don't show up again. Right? So Michael's like, man. And so it goes from this disappointment now to, actually it probably moves to anger. We're like, man, this guy again. He said he was going to show up and he freaking didn't show up. Like, come on. And tell me you haven't lived this experience somewhere along the way. And it might not be subsequent back-to-back weekends, but it might be a year apart. It might be a couple of hours apart in some cases. So then Monday rolls around. Michael comes in to Rise Above and he says, "Hey, Mr. Fernandez, guys, seriously, you said you're going to be there. You said we're going to go for coffee, the whole 9 yards. And, I waited for an hour for you to show up, and at 4:00, I finally said, forget it. And I picked up the Xbox controller, And I'm like, "Oh yeah, Michael, sorry. I just flat tire in my car, I just couldn't make it, And I said, "But Michael, this weekend, same thing, because it's an 8-week program, and there's still, we're only at work week 3. We can get there, buddy. And tell you what, this time we'll go for coffee, and I'll buy you lunch afterwards. What's your favorite restaurant?" And odds are Michael's going to go, "Yeah, I just don't think I'm available Saturday. I just don't know that I want to anymore." Right? And I think that's where we get into trouble.
Everything's great. Everything is awesome.
Thank you, Mr. Soggy Waffles. Mr. Poggy Waffles, although I refuse to say Poggy. Appreciate you, buddy. Hi, Dad. Hope you're well. Much love. Much love to you, buddy. Appreciate you, Mr. Soggy Waffles. Because the reality is, trust is definitely something that is worn out. Because people say, oh, trust is earned. You got to earn my trust, blah, blah, blah. And I say all the time, the reality is, yeah, soggy for life, you got to know it. The reality is we naturally start with trust. And this is not a new statement on this channel. I mean, I say it all the time. We do it every day. We when we're driving down the road and we see an ambulance coming, we trust that everyone's going to get over to the right. When the light turns red and I drive through when my light turns green, the reality is I'm trusting that everyone's going to stop at the red light or stop at the stop sign or whatever the case is. The reality is we naturally give it away for free. But, and I just had this conversation with my wife again this weekend with a friend of ours. I said, have you noticed that a lot of people in our community for some reason are running a lot of like really late yellows? Like to where it's red and I blatantly have a green light, right? And I was like, yeah, I've really noticed a lot lately. And so now we're starting to distrust green lights where we're all stopping. It's clearly a green light and we're like checking both ways, or is it really safe to go? So yeah, it's crazy. You think trust is a spectrum, Rabbi? There are both positive and negative events that affect where your relationship falls. And so it's this ebb and flow. So you can lose trust with somebody, but you can gain it back over time, right? I don't believe it's necessarily a gone in an instant thing and gone forever thing, but I definitely think that I would agree with you on that. I think that your default trust level is affected by your own collective experience. and that's what I'm saying is it's definitely experiential. It's definitely based on, from a very early age, we learn that certain adults we can trust and certain ones we can't. That even in school and our certain teachers we just learn to naturally trust because of the way they treat and talk to us, right? There's ones that naturally get our respect and our trust and our willingness to go the extra mile or to perform, and others are like, I'm just not. Mrs. So-and-so or Mr. Smith, and I apologize if his last name is Smith in here. I'm just not going to, I don't care if I get a D in this class or not. I'm just not working for Mr. Smith because that guy's a goof, right? What happens when the person who is supposed to protect you from harm ends up being the one who harms? And honestly, that's probably the vast majority, Anna. That's a great statement, by the way. The vast majority of the students that we see here at Rise Above, that is exactly their story. Where the people, yes, that are supposed to be in positions of authority, in safety and security for this student, for this little, as Morg would say, are the principal people they distrust for a very wide range of emotional reasons, right? And Sagi, we'll talk about your bachelor party here in a minute. Trust is like building blocks that can be built up and taken down. And it can be in extreme measure, or it can be in little minute details, Brandy. That's the other thing, right? So take Anna's example as your starting point. And I think that maturity plays a large role in how big the building blocks are that get knocked off. So a very small person, and I'll back this up in a second with a statement. I think distrust comes off in small little snippets, right? And tends to wear away really slowly in some cases, not all cases, but in some cases. And I'll give why I believe that is in a second. But as we mature, as we get older, I think that the same things that we endured as littles turn into big chunks, right? When we get older, where somebody before who maybe spanks us as a child still maintains our trust as a little, but when somebody takes a swing at me when I'm an adult, that same person takes a swing at me an adult, I'm very much putting that person at arm's length. And I'll tell you how we experience it around here. And Brenny, I saw your flex much. Don't worry, we'll get there, buddy. It's just hard. I got a sweater on. It doesn't have the same effect. The reality is, our littles here, up to about 13 years of age, for the most part, not 100% of them, but for the most part, love their parents to death and think that their parents have done no wrong. There's this thing where and I'm one of these littles. I grew up as this person where terrible, horrible things would happen to me and around me, right? And I couldn't wait to see my dad, even though I knew that he was not a healthy person. It's a schmedium, yeah. No, it's actually a large. I've just been, beefing up a little bit there at Poggy Waffles. And so when I'd see my dad, I was like, oh, so excited. And my dad was that guy who said, hey, boys, Sunday, 11 o'clock, I'm going to pick you up. And we'd sit there and we'd get all excited wait for the phone to ring, or we'd count down, we'd go, 10, 9, Dad's going to roll up. As soon as you get to 0, Dad's going to roll up in front of the house. And we'd sit there and we literally counted out loud, guys. That story doesn't come from some books. This is my life. This is the reality. I was that kid that was waiting at the door with my shoes and my coat on, waiting for that person to show up. And he always, I just couldn't make it that weekend, or he would never call. He would just not show up. Right? And Rabbi, I'm going to come back to your statement in a second, buddy. I saw what you said about the trauma thing. There's a reality there that that I think people just don't understand that little people want you to love them. And they, for all of their being, want to love you back. So you can do horrible things to littles, and people do, and they will still hug the crap out of you because they want you to know. Right? But there's something that happens around 10, 11, 12, 13 where something clicks in their brain. They go, wait a second, you're not supposed to be doing this. They realize that, you're not supposed to be doing this anymore. Like, not that you ever were, but like the clicks in the brain that, hey, this isn't right. And so that's why we start to see around that 11, that rebellious age in kids that have traumatic experiences, where they start to do things like, wow, that Jimmy, all of a sudden, he was such a great kid and always so nice, and now he's just hanging around with these horrible kids and doing these horrible things. Like, well, I don't get it. It was just like overnight. I don't understand. Because he had that eureka moment of, wait a second, Dad, you're not supposed to do that to Mom. Or Dad or Mom, you're not supposed to do that to me, or whatever the thing is, Understanding that trauma can come from a myriad of sources and can be as simple as betrayal of trust. Love and building programs, education, etc. are part of the trauma-informed system that can be intentionally worked to repair a broken trust. So this is where we talk about communities, Rabbi, and that's part of what I want to talk about today is, what's your response? Given the coronavirus, the COVID-19 thing, we're being asked to isolate ourselves from each other. So this very idea of community is being asked, time out, people. Stop hanging around with each other. That's why I started with the whole what's the church's response comment. Because that's our response, is we're called to be in community. We're called to be the community. And here we're saying stop. I go for breakfast, like I said before. Every Monday morning I go for breakfast with my mentor. And we talked about this very thing because he meets with a lot of seniors during the week. People who rely on him as their only person that they see all week long outside of the nurse that comes in to change their diaper. And now he's being asked to stop. And how do you just stop for 4 weeks? This person's going to get no real human contact outside of a nurse coming in to wipe someone's butt. I hate to say it. There's a reality to that. Maybe it's a tactic to sweat her off. Killed. At what cost? At what cost are we doing these things, these corrective things? What are going to be the outcomes? So you asked the question earlier. Someone said something about closing Rise Above. Oh, that was a different conversation. It didn't happen here, actually. And my response is, yeah, we're closed, but we're not closed. Nick said the same thing this morning. Yeah, we're closed, but we're not closed. Because if a kid shows up at this door, I'm letting him in. We're open. You want in, kiddo? You come on in. Just wash your hands. Right? There's a reality to what these kids showed up today. They know all of their friends are off school. Last Friday we sat down. This is a true story now. Last Friday we sat down and we told every student, okay, this is what the situation is. If you want to come, we're going to be here. All the staff will be here for the next 3-4 weeks, whatever the case is. We called all the parents, said, hey, what do you want to do? And a lot of parents said, hey, if you're open, we're going to send our kid if they, assuming everything's good and whatnot. And we said, okay, if they come, we're here. And we took count, and we had 4 students that said 100% they were going to be there. We had 5 that said nothing, literally yes or no, nothing, no response at all from parents or otherwise. And then we had 2 hard and fast no's. Nope, I'm not coming. 100% I'm not coming for various reasons. I won't get into that right now. Right? I left this morning for my meeting. We had 5 kids here. For the vast majority of those kids, they're here because they want to be here. Right? Without even trying, the idea of community, these kids get it. 2 of the other kids that aren't here are here because their parents are hypersensitive about the whole my kid and anyways. Kids up to a certain age are the definition of unconditional love. Pocky. You're little people. You want to be loved. Yeah. The reality is, I think your statement isn't as much as I think you're trying to, inject some humor. I think you're absolutely right, though. I think at the core, the reality is we all want to love and be loved. And in a situation like this, the reason why this is so hard for people, and the reason why they're shutting down restaurants and bars, because if they know if they don't, people are going to go out and socialize. By nature, we are highly relational people. No, Brenny, we're not closed. And that's an impossibility of the program. Shutting it down is not an option. So, Rabbi, what are the things that you guys are doing at work? Because I know you're kind of in the same boat as Morgan and I, right? Yeah, no worries, Rabbi. But I'd love to get your perspective about what you guys are doing. I'll ask you all. What are your organizations doing? As a result of this, are you guys doing things? Oh, thank
Hello?
you.
Is someone here? I'm just trying to make some friends.
That's all I'm trying to do. Is make some friends. Appreciate that, Anna. Thank you very much. So what precautions are you guys doing? Are you in small environments? Are you in larger corporate environments? Are you in school settings like we are, and what Morg and whatnot are? Like Marika, I know, you're in retail. In particular, you're in makeup. That's even, more. Right? Is my chat lagging? Is that what you guys are saying? There might be let's have a listen. Is my chat lagging? Is that what you guys are saying? Looks good on my end. Yeah. Looks good on my end. It's your fault. It's not my fault. Get wrecked, nerd. You probably fell asleep. Here's the deal for those of you who don't know. I am a director of a nonprofit preschool and after-school program. Yeah. I work in an office, and the company is Health and Beauty. So it's super important everything's clean and looked after. Yeah. Now, even Theron's here. Wow. So I got Theron and Marika here. Look at both of you guys. So number 1 kingpin is my oldest son, and then Marika is my oldest daughter. Well, she's my only daughter too, that I know of. No, I'm just kidding. So Theron, your campus got completely closed down, right? Your dad's. So soccer is now officially canceled till man, oh man. We were just talking about that. What a senior is going to do. Like here, you're trying to make trying to get on the field to play with the seniors, to play with the first team, and now you're being asked to pull back. Like that's crazy. Yeah, and Brendan, I mean, you guys get the whole soccer game, your whole soccer program there nationally just got canceled too, put on hold for the year. That's nuts. If classrooms K through 7 or 9 through 17, yeah, and I think that's the hardest part because really, so we were talking about this on the weekend too. We're still old, so we still look at Facebook, and yeah, we're still old. Like that makes sense. Like somehow we stop getting old or stop being old. Like anyways, so we're old and we still use Facebook, and we're watching all these folks posting online. Oh, it's so good. Are you going to use our time well? We're going to go skiing for the weekend, or hey, guess what that means? We're going to the cottage. We'll go go to Florida for the weekend and go to the whatever the case is, and what about the people who can't? What about those folks who are you're literally stuck in your home? And for those people who don't, there's the vast majority of people that don't have internet, don't have access to cable television or some form of entertainment that they can do while they sit on their butts. Like I saw, I'm not American, so bear with me. The governor of the Yukon there, what's her name? She said, your grandparents can go to war. You can at least just sit on your couch for 2 weeks, That's easy to say. It's not easy to do. Again, get back to the earlier conversation. We're very social beings, right? And if you have no resources, if you have no internet, no television, no, and your home is broken, how do you sit on the couch for 4 weeks? You don't, right? I'm a stay-at-home wife, but I worry about my husband who works for a company that really can't close down. And there's a lot of folks like that right now, Anna. My alumni closed all their campuses, so the campus church I go to sometimes. Yeah, and I think that's another part of this too, is we were talking about this at breakfast this morning, because we intentionally go to this little mom and pop breakfast place to encourage obviously local business, right? And the owner was literally in tears this morning as we were cashing out, because she just got the news that at 3:00 today, our time, she has to close her restaurant for several weeks. And she has no carry-out capability, right? Because it's a breakfast place. You can't carry out scrambled eggs, for crying out loud. So it's a tragedy. It's likely that this business is going to collapse because and her 6 or 7 employees are all going to be out of work because of this situation, right? Businesses are going to, it's just going to tank small businesses. Well, a lot of us are talking about really flexible workplaces that can allow work from home, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and that's the thing, impossible decisions. So Rabbi, you're in a nonprofit situation. I'm in a nonprofit situation. There's a reality to this work. I rely on people having expendable income to support my organization, to keep my doors open. The reality is my whole initiative from now until September is gone, my fundraising initiative. We just canceled our golf outing, or we're about to, right? A major fundraiser of the year. My Springs initiative of going to businesses and asking businesses to help support Rise Above, not just this year, but long term, that's now got to be on hold. Because now all the businesses in my community, they won't feel the pinch right now, but they're going to feel it in 5 or 6 months. Because what's going to happen is a whole trickle down thing where all these people that would have normally had income right now are going to be put on hold. And so in 5 or 6 months, when they would have been buying a car or a house or whatever the thing is in the summertime, are going to be gone. So my fundraising initiatives, so this puts my nonprofit at risk. I've got a bit of money in reserve, but that doesn't last long. If you've ever run a business, you know how quickly revenue goes. So, and there's no recourse for that. Like a normal business might be compensated by the government or some form of initiative to support people. But as a nonprofit, I don't have access. We won't have access to that. And Morgan, I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, 6 years of hard work put on hold. That's a scary thing, right? Very scary thing. And Marika, your whole job is touching people, right? Your whole job is putting makeup on. Yeah. It's just crazy. Rabbi, there have been no insurance or no under more than insured most jobs without sick. Yeah. And that's the thing. That's why they're trying to introduce sick leave now and a bunch of other things, at least here in the U.S. Yeah, think about that. Asking seniors who are typically underserved already socially, being told to self-isolate for 4 months. You're already struggling to be in relationship, to be in community with each other, to be in a common location, to have common characteristics, a feeling of belonging, things of a common interest, religion, whatever the case may be, your checkers club. 4 freaking months. You know, and Rabbi, talking about the meal plan. I mean, this is where the church should be stepping up, Rabbi. This is the thing. So this is what I said at the beginning when Brenny and Morg were on, before all you folks showed up, is this, the reality is, during the plague in Europe, who was it that stood up and said, here, we'll go into the places you all won't go. And now here we have the state saying, no, the church, you can't do that. We don't want you to step into that situation. Right?
Okay. Everything's great. Everything is awesome.
Welcome back, Diablo. Appreciate you. Appreciate all you guys more than you'll ever know. Especially right now. It's just super important. Super, super important. Appreciate you guys. More luckily, low-income residents can get free internet for school, still receive their food. Yeah, we haven't heard much about the programs like that around here. Brenny, thanks for sharing that link. I'm going to open that and put it on my other screen. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, business. That's the one thing businesses are going to, I hope they find some program. But at the end of the day, what's going to happen is that the taxpayer, right, has to foot this bill, or the country goes into trillions more in debt, right? When you think of already what's taken place. Yeah, and Marika, you're talking about your salon people relying on tips. We just talked about this morning at breakfast as we talked to our server. Our server makes $3.25 an hour. Talk about relying on your tips. We walked into that restaurant this morning. Normally the place is full. Maybe 5 or 6 tables open out of the couple dozen that are there. There were 2 other tables. Hey, Inspector Gadget, thanks for showing up. I didn't even see you poke in there, buddy. There were 2 other tables, and there was 1 person on each of those tables. From a tip standpoint, there were 3 servers standing there waiting. From a server standpoint, that's devastating. You're standing there for hours making $3.25 an hour. $3.25 an hour. We talk about table rent when we go, because we usually sit there and we talk about life, our book, and our faith and stuff like that. So we usually tip fairly heavy when we go, but still. We get about 50% of our revenue from earned income. Oh, you're lucky. Oh, and if kids don't come, you don't get revenue. Oh, so you're not. So this situation could be critical for you then, Rabbi. Yeah, see, and this is what we're in the situation where we revenue share with schools. So when students are with us, we bill for that. So I'm in the process now where I'm going to start this week. I'm going to be calling superintendents to say, hey, look, because they've essentially already been paid. They get paid whether the students are there or not. They've already done their billing, their student counts for the year. And the reality is the government will subsidize the schools because obviously they don't want schools to shut down, so that this revenue is going to get rolled out regardless. So I'm going to ask them, say, hey, look, these are the students we have. Do you mind if we keep billing? Because if we don't, honestly, if we don't, we're in the same boat. That's 50% of our revenue. In Morgue, I think it's safe to say that most people are worried to some extent. So, and Rabbi, that's what we're talking about, is this idea of, do we lay staff off? Do we allow staff to go home? At what point do we not pay? If it's more than 3 weeks, 2 weeks, should we be paying? Can we afford to be paying? Is it wise long term? In the grand scheme of Rise Above and contextually what we offer the community, is it wise to be using our funds in that sense? Do we hold back in the hopes that, economically our community will recover? Yeah. Yeah, and I think the if I can speak openly for a second, Rabbi, I'm an ordained minister of the church. I've not hidden that any stretch of the way. I am very involved in my community in any number of ways, both on boards and volunteer-wise and everything else, as is the bulk of my staff. Very involved, not only in their local churches, but also in volunteer activities and whatnot. The scary thing to me right now is the head of my church. And I'm on the board for my church, like the head of, not when I say the church, I don't mean the local church, the one single congregation. I'm on the board for about 80 different congregations, right? That oversees 80 different congregations, like a large board that oversees the church for Southern Michigan. And yeah, kind of like that, but I'm not Catholic, so it's considered something slightly different. Technically, I'm Catholic, I guess. I was baptized Catholic as a kid because I'm Portuguese. And my church has not contacted me to ask if I'm going to be okay. That is nuts to me. I would love for somebody just to ask if they can donate, if they can volunteer and help our kids in some way. Are you guys going to be okay? Are you guys going to survive this? Is there something that we can do to assist you, or whatever the case is? And the reality is that that's not happened. But that's been indicative since day one, really. It's not just this coronavirus thing. Let's see what else. I heard Spectrum was doing a 3-month. Oh, what's a 3-month free deal starting today? Craig is worried that people are going to steal stuff. Yeah, I think everyone's worried about that, Marika, that people are going to start doing stupid stuff, that this already the hoarding thing has started, and I think people are just being crazy. I think the memes going around about the toilet paper are hilarious, People going to McDonald's and trying to pay for McDonald's with like toilet paper, and going to the bank and trying to deposit toilet paper. The meme about the guy looks like he's a drug dealer on the side of the road, and someone rolls up and offers to buy toilet paper out of his backpack and stuff. It's hilarious, some of the stuff that's going on. But it's indicative of society, though, when we talk about what we're doing. And America's doo-doo. Wages should be yeah. But that's servers have always. That's been a complaint since day one about the whole server thing, right? So this is my question to you. So I'm not 100% what's happening here in the U.S. or by state, but I mean in your individual countries, because you guys are all over the world. What are your individual countries doing when it comes to subsidizing? So Morg's mom is a perfect example of somebody who, with no school and no other second job, how do you do things like pay your bills? Like I think Italy and other places are like no mortgage for 3 months or something like that with no penalties and whatnot. Although there are banks will always put penalties on no matter what the state says. People are naive to think that suddenly, oh, I get 3 months off my mortgage just because of this crisis. Is that what they're doing in the UK right now too? Yeah, in MLA, that's the thing. So Amazon has had to go on and and stop all the people price gouging. Because I don't know if you know how Amazon works. Amazon is like eBay. People don't understand that. There's Amazon warehouses, and then there's like people that like me. Like I used to sell on Amazon. I had over 30,000 different items on Amazon at one point. Right? And Marika knows intimately what I'm talking about. She worked in my warehouse. And in my store. The reality is, people are price gouging, and Amazon is having to go in and pull all of these ridiculous, $1,000 for a bottle of hand sanitizer, type of things out. And I went on this morning just to have a quick look. Because I was going to see if I could get a case of like just little pump hand sanitizers, even the little personal size ones that you can get, to see if I could, just grab some. And nope, there is nothing. Amazon Prime, there is nothing. And I'm a business customer, right? So we get special access to things that regular everyday accounts don't get access to. So it's crazy. The community that you described is often isolated by members of its top power structure. Rarely is it cared for by them. The power, strength, and love of the community is built, maintained by the people at the lowest level. Yeah, exactly. And that's what we talk about when we talk about what things that they have in common. This idea of similar interests or goals. Religion, obviously, gender, race. That's why people group together. That's why there's a Portuguese club, because the Portuguese people want to all get together. That's why there's Little Italy. That's why there's, Chinatown and all that kind of jazz. Because people just group together naturally. That's what our common interests, our common goals, are things that it's normal. Why do you think there are borders and countries and stuff? That starts there. You're not my people. These are my people. Don't cross that line. That's where that all starts. Confirmed. We are entitled to statutory sick pay. 94. Oh, wow. That's it? Nah, I guess, the UK, though, but is that US dollars, Brenny? Or is that like the British pound? Confirmed 2 months free internet service provided by individuals to college students affected by shutdowns, no installation fee. So how would that work if you already had internet service? The British pound, okay. I'll have to look into that, Diablo, because there's a bunch of our students here that could. Diablo, can you do me a favor? Can you whisper a link or something like that to me that I can? Because I've got 2 students right now who are considering staying home from school that have access to laptops, computers, but do not have internet at home. So if there's something that they can do to get access to that, I'll see if we can figure something out. $115 US. Whew, that is nothing, man. I think the Ontario government is trying to sort out paid leave for people. Yeah, I haven't heard. My brother-in-law, obviously, all my family still lives in Ontario, MLA, in Windsor and in Toronto, Mississauga. I haven't really heard anything. My dad's business shouldn't be affected. I don't know if you've heard of DHL. Thank you, Morgmead. I actually think his business is probably going to go up a little bit because of the delivery thing, because people aren't going to go out, so they're going to order stuff online. So I think he'll actually benefit from this in some way, as crazy as that sounds. Yeah, and Anna, that's the thing, the whole scalper mentality, this idea of how it seems so antithetical to what you're trying to achieve. You want these people to come to you and to do business with you, and so you price gouge them. Why wouldn't you want to? Yeah. You think of someone buying 17,000 cases of something. Just blows your mind, right? Yeah, but I mean, I thank you for that, Dabo. But yeah, if you can just find a link, I'll see if it might not even be available in our area, but it might give me something to go and call and say, hey, look, this is our situation. We've got students this is the word. Thank you, brother. This is the work that we do, and this is a student situation that we have. Can we do something to facilitate? I've already started contacting businesses that have those little MiFi or little portable Wi-Fi doohickeys. Yeah, no problem, Anna. Appreciate you being here and in your input into the conversation. Trying to see if we can get a couple of those for our students, but it's been tough because everyone's getting them for work, right? So they're completely out of them at the moment. So how much of Brenny, so again, being Canadian and understanding a bit of the British system, but how much of your system is socialized? Because that's the one thing I'm hearing more and more about, how hard hit England has been, or the UK. And I'm always curious about what those socialist-based countries like Canada, how they're going to fare in relation to, in what aspect? Healthcare predominantly, because I'm sure you guys get taxed probably as heavily as Canadians do in a lot of different ways. And I'm sure it because when you talk about saying you have a good benefits program, I'm assuming you mean government, not necessarily company, or are you talking about company? Oh, it's got a phone number too, Diablo? Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'll look for it more. Thank you. Yeah. So it's basically a similar system to what we have in Canada then. So the thing there is, obviously being in America, we don't have a lot of the same access. I mean, we have access, but we don't have a lot of the same what you call fail-safes in place when it comes to funding. So for my wife and I, we have a basic benefits plan, and then we have a HSA, a health savings account that we can use to pay for things like doctor's visits and whatnot. But that's not an unlimited dollar. There's a very finite amount of money that we have access to. And it's not, I can't use that funding if I was to not be able to earn an income for a while. Now, mind you, because of the nature of my work, and the fact that I'm the founder and executive director, I don't know that I would be in a position where I would necessarily be out of pay. Pardon me. But my staff, I think, could, in that situation, be, because the reality is if I go, the organization goes at this point. If I lose a teacher, yeah, it's hard. It is a hard conversation. Beds are going to be limited and already, said the providers instruct. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. They're already facing that dilemma in China right now. I just read 2 or 3 different articles this morning about the whole healthcare system and the idea of collapse and whatnot. Yes and no. Inspector, let me have a quick look at my YouTube channel, see what's on there. So the YouTube channel is actually, here, I'll post a link. Yeah, no, we do have commercials and stuff, buddy. You can see them definitely on our Facebook page. The commercials and stuff are there. That's Rise Above JXN, hashtag Rise Above JXN for Facebook. But let me check out our YouTube. Well, I got you. Well, I got you here. Because I don't remember what we got, to be honest with you. I know I post all of these. Our rap battles on there. Yeah, there's definitely commercials. If you go to the YouTube page, which is Neil Fernandez. Here, let me post a link. Let me post a link for you. I think that should take you to the channel. Yep, that'll take you to the video list. And if you scroll down to the bottom of the video list, you'll see a rap battle in there. You'll see some other things. You'll see some graduation speeches and other stuff like that. And at the very bottom, you'll see Rise Above promo video. You'll see this is how we rise above in Jackson and whatnot. So want me to? Here, I'll do this. I'll whisper it to you, and then you can get to it later, buddy. I whispered it to you, so that way it's there and you can get to it. Wait, what? What am I missing? Our own Prime Minister said in his speech, we will lose loved ones, and that they want it to reach at least 6 minutes before it's considered a crisis. Ooh, context. Herd mentality. Yeah, no problem, Inspector. Save that one for later. I just opened it for you. It's scary. You know, our own Prime Minister in Canada, his wife actually got it. Not 100% where she got it, but they said publicly that the Prime Minister's wife in Canada got the coronavirus. I mean, what's your response? I mean, as a community, what's our response to be? At what point do we get to a space where we're not motivated anymore to do what we're supposed to do as a community? Because the whole one of the hardest things in society to do is to get people to engage other people. To get to a place where you help them without being asked. And now we're in a spot where we're asking each other to stop doing that very thing. We're doing the exact opposite of what we've been trying to get people to do since the turn of the century. The very leadership that we put into place to lead the people, to lead that charge of, hey, the best thing we can do is to stand up for each other and to help each other. Those very same people are now saying, well, you know, we should probably step back. Yeah, I kind of got what you meant when you said. Huh. You know, and at that point, I mean, it's almost crisis mode, Inspector. When you talk about knowing that someone in your organization has possibly connected with or come in contact with somebody who has the virus. What's your knee-jerk reaction? Oh my gosh, sanitize everything. It's this, and I think the real tragedy here is they don't know anything about it, right? They're speculating what's happening. I mean, they're starting to understand, you know, the major fear with this is that, you know, it's lasting longer on surfaces, hard surfaces, plastic and metal. I think they're saying 2 to 3 days it can live now, you know, on these surfaces. than a lot of the other stuff that we typically come in contact with. And that's the real difference between the two. You know, people are saying, oh, you know, we had 900,000 people, I think the number is, that died from the common cold and flu this year already, since January to now. 900,000 people have died. And we've only had 4,000 die from this. Right, so people are saying, what's the worry? You know, it's minuscule in comparison. It's the unknown, right? It's the whole fear of the unknown. It's new. They don't know what it is. I think they've kind of narrowed down the origins of it now. Right? They kind of know where it came from. They kind of know what it derives from. It sounds like it's coming from some animal in the markets and that they're capturing and eating in China. Exactly what that is and whatnot, I'm not sure. And that's speculation on my part. That's just something I heard a few weeks back. So don't quote me, and please don't hate me because I said it. What? University is closed for the rest of the spring. Residents must move out by Sunday. How is that even a thing? Like the tragedy there is international students. How the heck? Like my school, well, I guess my school, I graduated from there, that my son currently goes to, they moved, so they closed the main campus down. They're allowing the students to stay, but they've moved all classes online. So the professors are doing like an online presentation. They bought all the software and laptops and stuff for the teachers so that they can do their classes via Skype or whatever platform they're using. I'm not sure. So are you saying yours is online now too? So you're like, you still have access to your classes though, right? It's not like they're saying, hey, we're done altogether.
Okay. Everything's great. Everything is awesome.
Thank you, Diablo. Appreciate you, man. Anna, Rabbi, Fawcett, Kingpin, congratulations.
Okay.
Mordecai.
Everything's great.
I'm going to turn that down for a few minutes. That's going to be loud for a
awesome.
little bit. Love you, brother. More than you'll ever know, man. I appreciate you, Diablo. I owe you some push-ups now. We'll get those in a minute. I just want to finish this conversation with Morg.
Everything is awesome.
So you're online, but no one's allowed on campus. Okay, that's not as bad.
Okay.
So that's what my son. So
Everything's
I think
great.
Kingpin is my son.
Everything
His
is
first
awesome.
online class starts at 2:40 today. So in about an hour and a half.
Okay.
Rabbi
Everything's
Ferret,
great.
36 million.
Everything is awesome.
36 to 51 million infections. 22 to 55,000 deaths. So it's the death rate. So that's what they're talking about right now, Rabbi, is the death rate for this particular flu. So minimum 1 month, Kingpin, is what they're saying. So yeah, all the schools in our community are completely shut down as well, until at least, I think, what's the date that they're saying? Let me have a quick look here. I think they're saying till the 6th of April. So we're 2 weeks. 3 weeks technically. We're saying no school for 3 weeks, minimum. Morg, hello, son of Risk. So you guys are out until April 20th? Yeah, ours is basically saying 2 weeks off, and then we're in spring break anyways. And so they're just saying come back after spring break is basically where we're at. And that gets the 10-day incubation period out of the way. They're assuming everyone's self-quarantining at that point, staying home or doing as little as possible. Wait, because the state has now said no more. As of this morning, the state here in Michigan has closed all bars and restaurants. My wife just texted me saying the gym is now officially closed, so I better get these push-ups in for Diablo because it's the only exercise I'm going to get for the next 3 frickin' weeks. Ugh. So hard, man. It sucks. It just dawned on me what that means for me. It's hard to take 2 or 3 days off, let alone 3 or 4 weeks. Yeah, and Rabbi, that's what I was saying. They're saying it's like 3 or 4. Yeah, 3 or 4%. That's exactly what you got there. Yeah, yeah. In the flu is a lot lower, but again, you have your World Health Organization, the WHO. Your sample size is very small for this coronavirus, respectively. It's very small because it's recognized. The people that have had the coronavirus already that didn't know they had it, they just thought they had the common flu and stayed home, right? Because a lot of people who get the flu don't seek treatment. And because the symptoms are similar, I'm betting you the vast majority of those flu cases, because this is going back to September in China. They've been in the Wuhan province. They've been battling this since September. A friend of mine who has family there just said that things are literally yesterday said things are just getting back to normal in that province of China. Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm saying, Rabbi. The testing is so far behind. But it's still behind because China lagged in telling people what was going on. Their own people are saying that very thing. It was, they're talking about this morning. Yeah, and because we have the flu shot, right? Marika's right. If you believe in the flu shot. It's a trap. They're embedding chips. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with people. This is where you need OG Pickle. OG Pickle comes in. I'm going to call my mom. She's a doctor. She'll tell us all to get the flu shot. I have a clip somewhere where he's doing that. We're all debating about the validity of the flu shot. And he's like, I'm going to call my mom. She'll tell you. And he literally got his mom on the phone. And mom's like, yes, everyone needs to get the flu shot. He's like, see, I told you guys. That's funny. Good clips. I should see if I can find it, but I'm not going to. Ah, boy. Somebody asked me a question earlier that was way off topic, and I said I'd get back to it, and I completely forget what was asked, so I need to go back. What was asked? Somebody remind me. Was it just the YouTube channel thing? Yeah, I think it was. My wife said patients are freaking out about the pain meds. I feel opioids for 3 years and withdrawal 3 times. So I asked them to come off, focus more on. Yeah, that's crazy. Do those sub push-ups. Yeah, let's do those right now. Let's go to Donut Camp. Let's do some sub push-ups while I think of the next rant I want to go on. Hang on one sec. I owe Diablo some. How many push-ups are you doing? Are we doing 25 or are we doing 50, Diablo? I'll let you choose. How many you want? Yeah, we'll drop the sweater here because it's hot in here. 25? Okay. Give me a sec. I'm going to drop the sweater. I'm going to switch the camera and we'll come right back. Hold on. I threw a couple extra in there because that's 25 is just too easy. Just because I ditched this stupid sweater because I'm sweating my butt off. Golly gee willikers, Batman. Is it hot in here or is it just me? Thinking, why can't I see chat? I don't have my glasses on. Duh. Yeah, that's the way you got to do it. You got to keep them hands in tight. Keep them elbows close to the body. That's the way it works. Brendan, now you get the real flex. He has bad wrists. I don't have bad wrists. I have a bad elbow. That's what I got. Yeah, my guy, I appreciate it, man. Keep me. This is the best workout I'm going to get for the next freaking 3.5 weeks. I might as well get some push-ups in.
Oh my God, he's jacked, dude.
Right? That ain't going to happen if I don't stay in the doing something. My beautiful wife says push-ups are sexy anyways. Get good. Yeah, I'm telling you, push-ups are one of the best things you can do. You even lift, bro? Come on. I just skipped leg day. She is very much in charge of that. That's too funny. You know, that's a real thing, though. I mean, I don't I don't sit there and go, oh, the gym is closed for the next 4 weeks. And I don't say that lightly. And honestly, that leg day emote is probably the biggest reason why. It is hard. If you lift 5 days a week and you take a week off and go back to the gym, it is like starting all over again. You know, when you're moving as much weight as some of the guys at the gym move, I do. I might need them, Marika. Right? I can't imagine taking 3 weeks off from the gym. Like I'm trying to think, okay, what dive gym can I find that's not going to follow the rule that I can get in there and just move some weight 2 or 3 days a week, you know? And I hate to say that, but there's a reality there. Well, and it just dawned on me now. I have a gym in the basement here. Problem solved. Forget it.
Okay.
Celery Bear, 7
Everything's
months,
right.
buddy.
Everything is awesome.
Celery, I love you, man. Thanks for being such a great. Hey, if none of you all are following Celery, you got to go follow Cel. He, hilarious guy, super nice. Morg, find your clip if you don't got it, kiddo. And just to show the true character of this guy, I think I'm going to see if I can find it right here. Because I gotta say that I gotta show the true character of Morg Meme, or of Morg Meme. Well, of Morg Meme too, but of Celery Bear. He's a real boy, is the best way I can say it. I'm going to play this. I want you guys to play this clip. I might play it myself because it's so genuine. This is the clip here. He is my fave too. He's just a great dude.
Or you have to give one to Morg Meme now. She cashed it.
Let's go, baby.
Okay. For Morg, I can say it. Okay, I learned English so that I can communicate with Morg.
Oh!
And her voice is so sweet. It just sent me to paradise.
Let's go, Morg. She's blushing. I know she's blushing.
So good. So good.
Everyone.
But that's the thing. This is follow this man. He is one of the greatest supporters of our community, one of the greatest supporters of guys that are trying to make it, trying to do real well. Not the guys like me who just do it, on the weekends, but the people that are actually trying to feed their families with this stuff. Appreciate guys like him and others who go out of their way to make sure that these guys are supported. Thank you, Sal. We appreciate you, buddy. Love the fact that you're supporting our community and that you appreciate us as much as we appreciate you, buddy. Because, there's a perfect example, with Diablo, gift from the 5 subs and whatnot. I can tell you guys that the reason why Morg comes in and says, she's worried about her kiddos and things like that. What she's saying is, I have established such a relationship with them that I'm worried that the next 5 weeks or this spring or whatever the case is going to be not only hard for her, but she believes it's going to be hard for them. And I don't take it lightly, Morg, when you say things like, you know, that you feel like you're going to cry, because I can honestly say that is exactly the way my staff feels as well, you know. And heck yes, Inspect a Gadget, celery streams. So what's going on with your schooling, buddy? Has University of Toronto, what are they doing? I haven't heard much about the university out there yet. Have they gone to online yet? What's the deal? Because I mean, Rabbi, you can speak to this too. To get into this line of work, to do this with their kids, is you've got to be sold out in the sense of all in for the cause. Otherwise, it'll either wear you down to a nub, or it'll drive you crazy, because you sometimes you don't think you're making it. So you've gone to all online. Yeah, my son's university has gone to all online too. So his first class is actually today at 2:40. He was saying, no final exam. How does that work? So do you still get credit though, Sel? Because that's a lot of money to not get credit. Like per semester for my son is like $24,000 a semester. I mean, I thank God for his scholarships, because there's no way we could ever afford it. But yeah, $24,000 a year. It's crazy. Also, they've changed it to an assignment, so you've got to write a paper instead of doing an actual exam. I got you. So they've just changed how the grade schemes are going to. Yeah, perfect. Yep, that's exactly perfect. So that makes sense. I mean, I come from a theological background where everything was a paper, so I get that makes sense. Yeah, who does tests? You just write and prove that you know the theory. Yeah, it is a lot of money, but it's more of a private school, right? The University of Toronto is one of the best in the world. I'm sure that's why Sel picked it, because he's one of the best in the world. It's scary. It really is. You know, when you think of, and so what year are you in? Because my son's about to go into his senior year. He's a junior right now, but from a soccer standpoint and other things that he's doing, he's really already started his senior year. Because Waterloo is a very good school as well. So you're in so you graduate this May. Wow. So you're in your final semester, so. Man, oh man, bro, I'll be praying for you. I hope it goes well, and I hope that you get as much out of this final semester as you should have. Because that's the meat and potatoes of your university career, is that final semester. That's when you learn all the good stuff. Man, oh man. Good. I'm glad to hear that, Sal. Have your professors been good about it? Because, Toronto's got a good system. They've got things in place. I'm not worried about them. They're not hurting for cash, so they're like some of the big universities like Michigan State. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. Because, some people care about GPA, some people don't. But awesome, Brenny. My teachers love them, by the way. I'm not sure. I thought I came back and told you, but maybe I didn't. Yeah, the teachers got them in class, and I thought I posted some pictures online and stuff. One of the streams back. Yeah, they get used all the time. They're a great tool for the classroom. For those that don't know, Brenny, so there's a thing that comes up every now and then. It shows Amazon. Actually, it just came up.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in, Mr. Monkey. Monkey 420. And so just bought some stuff off Amazon. He said he had an extra Amazon gift card, bought these tablets for the kids, and gave them to our teachers, and the teachers have been so good at using them. And I thought it was going to be not a stretch, but I thought it would take a minute, but they immediately used them. It was, yeah. They like the fact they don't have to carry paper around, and it's just easy to clear the tablet and go on. They're these neat little writing pads things. They're pretty neat. A Bra Monkey. I'd love to say welcome to the gym, but the gym closes at 3:00 today for the next God knows how long, 3-4 weeks. So, yeah, go ahead, skip leg day because everyone else is. Teachers are nice. They decided to provide more materials. Well, that can be a good and a bad thing. If my professor ever came to me and said, well, you can work from home, but I'm going to give you more work. I'm going to give you more material. That just means instead of reading 1,000 pages a week, I've got to read 2,000 pages a week. And I don't know whether that's a good thing or not. The tragedy in all of this really is the separation. The fact that we're being forced to be away from each other. And I've said it many a times that I want to write a paper about Twitch, and particularly Twitch chat. Because I think that for the bulk of us here, we're not going to go through the same separation anxiety that people who are not involved in these communities, these chat communities, we're not going to go through the same separation anxiety that others will. Why? Because although we don't have a physical interaction, we don't necessarily see each other, we have community still, right? Get back to those things again. The idea of common interests and feeling of belonging, and we all welcome each other with excitement, and the kind of the Cheers commercial. Hey, Normie, you walk in the bar and everyone's like, hey, dude, we're excited to see you when you walk in, right? Corona sucks. You got flu symptoms since last Monday, and I don't know if it's corona, but I measured body temperature and Friday. Yeah, and really it's sore throat, body temperature, and breathing, right? Is what they're saying. Yeah, and definitely look after yourself. Make sure you keep tabs on it, and definitely get checked. So definitely need Sel's humor and love in the community around, that's for sure. We were talking about Sel. We were talking about that the other day. Or not Sel, Brenny. We were talking about this the other day, where how many of us in everyday life, either at work, at the dinner table with our family, or anywhere else, are like something happens, like, yeah, GG, bro. We've completely changed the vernacular of the world with the whole gaming community. It's kind of funny how we've added the whole RIP and GG and all that stuff to the everyday conversations that we get into. I find myself saying it to people who have no idea, who would have no context to what GG or RIP or anything like that would even mean. Dryness of mouth and nose. Speaking of which, I'm going to take a little sip. I have a little dry mouth. Or lull. Yeah, that's the other one, lull. Marika's immune, she says. Marika's got bad allergies, so her nose is always plugged. So she's immune. I agree with Seaweed. You should definitely contact your whoever your physician is and at least get tested, especially if you've traveled in the past 6 months, 4 or 5 months especially. I don't think you've traveled since Christmas last time, New Year, I think. And that's the thing. So everyone has switched over to acronyms for stuff like Laugh Out Loud and GG and all that kind of jazz. So you can't English properly anymore, right? Well, English never really could English properly anyways, Brenny. Can we just say that now? Let's just get that out of the way, right? So, I mean, Englishing properly is just hard in general. You struggled to string sentences and spell correctly. Oh, that's too funny. You say decent a lot now. Yeah, and honestly, I blame my Chaco decent he did thing on a lot of things. Or yeah, he did decent thing on a lot of my isms around my house. I say decent all the time at home. And I get in trouble a lot. So, in hindsight, my friend called me the other day. He says, hey, at least, you'll have lots of time to go and practice shooting, and hopefully the tournaments will still be on this summer. So we'll get out and do a bunch of that stuff. Slang in general is just confusing to people. Yeah, take off, Brenny. Take it easy, buddy. Thanks for popping in, man. Appreciate you. Hope to catch your stream again this week. Haven't seen you in like a good few days. Yeah, definitely take care of yourself, buddy. And I don't know if I said it to you already, but it was a hilarious stream with you and Andy and everybody walking around town, going to all the karaoke bars and stuff. That was hilarious, guy. Hilarious. So yeah, really the next step is it was brilliant, point blank. I think the best part was when Andy took your phone. Was it you? No, it was Ross's phone. Took Ross's phone and you could just see Ross's face like this. You just don't drop my phone, please, because Andy was flipping it and doing other stuff with it because he had it on the stick, Oh, Ross's face was priceless. Anyways, Detroit Auto Show does give you the cars. I don't know, maybe Uncle Andrew will go there again. Doubt it. Because really, how do you then go? Yeah, that would be Brenny. God, don't even get me going. They canceled my Europe trip. I don't know if Andy said that to you. I think he said it to Ross the other day, but if you haven't heard yet, Brenny, my trip to the EU is canceled because of the coronavirus thing. So for those of you that don't know, my wife and I were supposed to go on a cruise into Dublin. Take it easy, Anna. My wife and I were supposed to go fly into Dublin, tour all around the island, go through all England, go to London and whatnot. And then when we're done with Ireland, Scotland, England, we were supposed to end in Holland, and we're going to go visit her family's hometown because my wife Veronica's family's from Holland. Yeah, canceled. A, it's a cruise, for one, and B, Europe is basically on lockdown right now. So nobody's going from England to here, and no one's going from here to England, so canceled. So hopefully they open it back up before summer, and then we'll rebook and go from there. What's up, Albert? Welcome to the stream, buddy. Yeah, we're just talking about that. Yeah, things are going well. I mean, I think overall we've all got our all right, Brandon, take it easy, buddy. We'll see you this week. I think overall things are going well. We're all getting perspectives kind of on what each person's battling with, and I think that I think the thing I'm taking away from this is that we're all seeing it from the same perspective. We're all getting a lot of the same complications. Yeah, they just did it here today too, Seaweed. We got the message, I want to say 8, 9 o'clock this morning, that they said at 3 o'clock today, bars, restaurants, my wife just texted me, said now all of the gyms, weight rooms and all that kind of stuff are all closed, churches. Yeah, so I think there's one casino here in Michigan, Albert. Yeah, they never close. The ones here, they've closed all the tables, and I think they left sections of slot machines open. So like every other, I don't know how exactly them, but I assume it's like every other row or something like that is left open. I don't know how that works because it's still a gathering of more than 200 people. Maybe it's geographic within 100 feet of each other, or I don't know how they're doing it or how they're even getting away with it. But there's a casino around here called Firekeepers, I think it's called. Well, there's several, but Firekeepers is one of them. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Every other machine or something like that. But again, you still got to wipe the machine down after each person uses it because that's technically what they're talking about, right? Because if you get away from the machine, the next person comes in, does an attendant have to come in or is everyone given a bottle of wipes and you wipe the machine down before the next person touches it? Because those are all hard machines. They're hard plastic, hard metal. So, and they're saying that the virus can live on those machines for up to 2 or 3 days now. That's what they're finding out, right? Yeah, I don't see them doing it either. That's why I'm like, I don't know how you're doing it. But this gets to my point about what I was saying about Twitch is this is where I believe Twitch fills the gap socially. Money keepers? Yeah, not fire keepers. This is where I think Twitch fills the gap, right? Socially for people. I think that we're going to see an explosion on Twitch. Not only of viewership in different time frames that people aren't used to. Like Scarlett Heathers normally doesn't see people around certain times, North American times, right? She just knows. I've had conversations with her about how, it's just slow. There's only, 10, 20 people in her chat at certain times, and then other times it's 60 to 100 people. That's all going to get blown out of the water because now suddenly everyone's got tons of free time to sit and watch other forms of entertainment to keep connected. Exactly, to keep connected to people. And I think there's going to be another byproduct of this, and that's going to be generosity. I think you're going to see a crap ton of people be even more generous than normal. Mrs. Seaweed said Firekeepers is closing today. Oh, really? No, I didn't say that. Last I heard late last night or early this morning was that it was staying open. Yeah, and Morgan, and I'll be honest with you, even though I've got family at home, this is part of my normal, this now has been part of my normal day for 3 years. It would keep you sane. I'm sorry to hear it's come to that. That we count as keeping you sane. I don't know that. You ever heard the term blind leading the blind? I don't know. I've been called lots of things in my life. I don't know that sane has necessarily been one of them. I'm joking. And and I think that's part of, I'm very social too. To an extent, I like one-on-one interaction. When I say I'm really social, I like the one-on-one interaction thing. I'm not a big crowd person. I don't like going to restaurants that are packed. I don't like going to malls that are packed. That makes me anxious because I feel like I'm always looking over my shoulder because I'm a little bit of a people watcher. But you got to love it, Morg, right? That's the thing. When you want to get into speech pathology and you want to help people, the reality is, even though I'm not in speech pathology, I speak all day long. I literally spend my life talking. People on the phone, people face to face, the 3 contractors I have downstairs. And that's the other thing. I've been talking at length about the construction we're doing downstairs, how awesome it is, and how we're preparing for stuff. And yeah, oh me, I definitely do a lot of talking. I'm gonna be putting construction on hold. So the project that was set to take place for the remainder of this year, just because I don't know. Dollar-wise, I just don't know what my donors are going to do. I got to be careful. I've got to save our pennies. So I'm going to finish what construction is currently taking place. And then once the whole virus thing passes, we'll kind of make a decision based off of that, whether we move forward. And I might just put the flooring down because essentially once the walls are up, all that's missing is and the ceiling is up, all that's missing is the flooring, and the space becomes usable at that point. So speaking of which, let's see what this says. This was literally the contractor I've got downstairs texting me on something. Let's see what he says. Mr. Rooney, what are you saying? All right. I was just saying he's going to grab materials. And no, Craig is not overreacting, Marika, to answer your text. Because you should see my basement. It can get scary pretty fast for a lot of people. I think the reality is starting to set in that this is not just some little, thing that's going to pass tomorrow and we're all going to be okay and whatever the case is. I think the reality is sinking into people that, holy crap, I just got sent home from work. This is not just this thing that's happening in some other country somewhere or in some other state or to some other family. When you go to the grocery store and literally see empty shelves everywhere, like, what is going on? And I think people are just starting to, there's a bit of panic going on for some people. Do you want to call it overzealousness? Do you want to call it, a little bit of over panic? I don't know what you call it, or is it justified? That's the real question. Is it justified? Do we need to be stocking ammunition for those of us in the U.S. that have access to it? People all around the world don't. Do you need to stock 14 months of toilet paper like some people are trying to do? It's a scary thought. One thing I would say is stay socially active. The biggest tragedy in this is if you self-quarantine. Yeah, I did get kind of called up on my daughter. I know. I just ignored it. That's what you do. You just let it walk by. That's all you got to do. No, I didn't see that thing. That wasn't a thing. That was a blip on the radar. I think what's going to happen, and I'm already seeing it from a lot of particular folks that I know that are hypersensitive to any interactions with people, to where a friend of mine basically said she was worried about the fact that she had hugged her friend. Oh, I was so insensitive of me. I shouldn't have hugged her and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what? Absolutely hug your friend. Yeah, that's you. 5 hours a freaking day. For those of you that don't know, Kingpin, like I said earlier, is my son, and he literally does play CSGO for 5 hours a day. Get good, kid. I'm social. So, Morg, did you get onto the Minecraft town? Did you actually do something? Did you get onto Dingle's server? I looked. I didn't see you. I looked several times, actually. Maybe I'll look again. Where'd you build? I have a little flint and steel that wants to say hi to your little wooden house. Burn it to the ground. You're going to build a house? Fancy. Build it out of cobble. Dang it, give more. Yeah, and that's the thing, because people are being oversensitive. Like, if you don't display symptoms, if you haven't traveled out of state or out of country, odds are you're going to be okay. If you're not immune compromised, You're a healthy adult for the most part. You're gonna be okay. Making a sign that says no risks. Yeah. Don't be risky. Build your house out of stone. The big bad wolf might come along and try and blow your house down. I have TNT, Morg, and I know how to use it. Make myself a TNT cannon. One of those TNT planes that flies by and just drops TNT. TNT duplicator. So are you on the main island, or did you go to the main land off of the house that those guys built, Morg? We should totally give out Dingle's server and like get like 80 people on there and just crash the party. He'd be so mad at us. Anyway, so here's the last question I want to leave you guys with. At what point do I say to my kiddos here at Rise Above, no school tomorrow? Is there a line that I draw in the sand where I say to the students here, not telling, where I say to my students, hey guys, no. Right? Because we have to ask that question. We have to say, at what point do we shut it down? You know, I had a kid came in this morning and said, oh, my dad's at home. You know, I shouldn't be here today. My dad's at home. He's sick, blah, blah, blah. Do I say to that kid, don't come in tomorrow? Because his dad is sick. You know, there's a real question in there somewhere. Because, Morg, the reality is you would love to be there for your kids, but you can't. At what point do I do the same? At what point do I say to the students, okay, we're done. Pardon me. Because, again, remember, we don't work with students who have access in other ways. They're here because this is the last chance they've got for a various number of reasons, right? Yeah, it's a very tough call. You had fun stuff planned too. You know, we have volunteers that we've had to call that do our art classes for us, that do all kinds of different things. People that come in. One of our volunteers, I called them last week and just said, hey, I'm calling just because I want to let you know what we're doing and, you know, and kind of give you some options and whatnot. And I said, there's no hard feelings if you're not going to be in next week. I just want to make sure I let the kids know that not to expect you, right? And he's like, bro, I'm not bailing on those kids. If you're open, I'm going to be there. And I was like, awesome. That's why I love that you're a volunteer here. So, you know, in Albert, it's hard, you know, because you're talking about the social existence for a lot of people. And not just your students. You're making decisions for the best that are best for your staff. It may not be the best for them financially, but it's the best for them medically, socially. What do you call it? So they don't get sick. You don't want to get sick. I don't want to hurt my staff. You know? Yeah, and that's the thing. When you already have a population that is, yeah, I want them to be well. Thank you, Morg. When you already have a population that is struggling to make good choices, historically, not necessarily today, but historically struggles to make good choices. And that outside of this environment doesn't have access even to constant good choices. A lot of our kids do, I'm not going to lie. We've got a great group of kids right now, and I just hate to think that we're going to that we're going to somehow cloister them in an unhealthy place. But you're right. We also don't want to contaminate people and make people sick. So we got to do the right thing. So if my fiance is traveling to Detroit for work, tag along. Heck yeah, get in here. Visit. Bring him in. I'd love to meet the dude. Come on in. We are 40 minutes from Detroit. Straight up Highway 94. Easy trip. And literally right off the highway. Literally 2 seconds off the main strip, too. If the restaurants are open, I'll buy you dinner. We'll go out, we'll talk about your speech pathology. I'd love to learn more about it. Albert, you're in Vegas? Is that where you're at? Vegas, or why am I thinking Ontario? Yeah, Vegas. I couldn't remember if you're, for some reason I was thinking clicking on Toronto, but I don't know why Vegas stuck in my head, but it did. See, I'm not so stupid. Sometimes I learn. So that could be literally, in your case, that could be an industry killer. I mean, people are always going to go back to Vegas because it's Vegas, right? But I mean, you guys could go through like a serious recession. That was one of the scary things for my son, because part of his tuition comes from the fact that he works at the university, and it's heavily dependent on the fact his work is heavily dependent on the fact that there's students there, because he works for the maintenance staff, right? And to be able to clean up after students is important. But if there's no students, there's no one to clean up after. So what do you do? So then you get into a situation where they're almost a make work. And from Toronto, it's 4 hours, 3.5, 4 hours. I can get from here to your place, Sel, in, I guess it's 7 hours if I drive slowly. I'd say 6 hours I can be to your place. 7 hours if I stop, grab a Timmy's, grab me some coffee and a donut. Yeah, and Albert, that's scary because that's your whole economy, right? Those workers drive Vegas's whole economy. Everything from buying cars to you name it. Cell phone companies, running shoes, everything is dependent on the revenue and the expenses associated with the workers of those casinos. Okay, much Canadian happened in that statement. Okay, so for me to get from here to Celery, I got to go up Highway 94. I got to cross the Detroit Bridge, hop on the 401, and drive as far east as possible, as quickly as possible, in Ontario. So getting from here to Windsor, at the Detroit border morgue, would take me 40 minutes. Getting across the border, 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how busy it is. And then from Windsor on the 401 till I get to Cell, about 3.5 to 4 hours. I totally would get some Timbits. Be all over that. You know this. You know how it works there, Marika. Grab a couple coffees, grab some Timbits. Yeah, it is all of Nevada, Albert. And depending on where on the University of Toronto campus you are. So, yeah, it's a crappy drive. Not gonna lie. From here to Toronto, going through London and all that is so flat. What are Timbits? Morgue me. Friend points deducted. Timbit. How do you ask what are Timbits? Plain bagel, lightly toasted with garlic and cream cheese. Small ice cap, please. So the joke here is, again, when we, that's funny that you say that. When we go, so you're right downtown, so. When we go across the border to visit family and stuff like that, there is a, there is a Timbits a Tim Hortons right across the bridge in Windsor. And we always first thing we do is cross the border right to Tim Hortons. I get my two coffees, grab a 10-pack of Timbits, and then we usually get all plain bagels. It's there and says plain bagels lightly toasted with garlic and hard cream cheese. And my youngest guy might get, well, he's getting bagels now, but he used to get a chocolate chip muffin. Eat them up. So good. I agree, Sal. So, Sal, where I am in Michigan, even as far west as I am, we have a Timbits or Tim Hortons in our town. So, Tim Hortons is a donut shop, a coffee shop all over Canada. It's huge. Like, it's the number one place in Canada. But it's slowly creeping into the U.S. and all the border cities. In Tim Hortons, if you look him up, is a hockey player, a former NHL hockey player. And when he retired from hockey, he opened this coffee chain. It is better than Starbucks. I agree. It's a smoother, less bitter taste, and yeah. There's a secret to their coffee. One day I'll let you in on it. I know the secret. So yeah, and the original Tim Hortons is actually the first one ever opened. Is actually where I'm from in Canada. It's pretty neat. It's a Canadian cuisine. It's fine dining. You know what I miss the most, Sel? And my wife will disagree with me, but it used to be like the place for me when I was a kid. The Keg. I miss the Keg because there's no real good chain steakhouse in the U.S. that I know of, or that is in my area here. Because I'm not in a huge city center, so I don't have like Ruth Chris or anything like that, right? But the Keg Steakhouse in Canada was like the go-to place when you wanted to go out for. Yeah, and I'm not a huge chain person either, but this particular steak chain is actually decent. It's I'm trying. Marika, get off my back. Old man. Talking for 2 hours. Oof is right. But the Tim Hortons the nice thing about Tim Hortons is it's a very consistent. I'd say it's even more consistent than McDonald's, places like that. Like Tim Hortons does a really good job. And American coffee is trash. It's very weak. Very, very weak. The sad thing is that the Tim Hortons here in the U.S. is very different than Tim Hortons in Canada. They've Americanized it. And I say that with all the affection in the world. I love America. But you guys don't do good coffee. Yeah, they have cheesecake factories in the U.S. I think the nearest one to us here, Sel, is in Chicago, though. I think there might be one in Ann Arbor. I don't think there's one in Lansing. And I don't know if there's one in Detroit. I mean, that's an easy Google search right there. But even Chinese food, American Chinese food, not real Chinese food, because you can get real Chinese food, real Vietnamese food and whatnot in Toronto. That's the one thing I loved about Toronto, Sel, is that you can get real American-Canadian fusion. Yeah. I mean, they don't have chicken balls in China. Surprise, surprise. That secret sour or sweet orange sauce. They don't do that's not real. If that isn't a North American invention, I don't know what is. Cheesecake in Novi, don't recommend it. I wasn't really impressed. When I was worked for a company in Canada and I was running the Chicago outlet of our facility, we went out, we took all the VPs and stuff out, went to the Cheesecake Factory there. And I wasn't impressed. I was expecting some grandiose. The way everyone was hyping it up, I was expecting something really la-di-da and kind of really like, wow, this is amazing. I'm so glad you took me here. And it wasn't. So are you finding, you want sushi now, do you find, Sal, that because when I worked for Coca-Cola and Garda in Toronto, we used to go to Vietnamese places all the time for like the noodles. Oh, so good. Spicy as all get out, but it was legit. I thought it was legit. It definitely wasn't American food, that's for sure. Like everything, even the noodles were made like right there. Where? Right there. Thank you, Andy, for planting that in my mind. Yeah, it is good. Agreed. But yeah, that was the thing. I mean, when I worked in Toronto, we'd always go to some little hole in the wall somewhere where it's literally some literally mom and pop putting together stuff from their own kitchen, it felt like most of the time. And it's just so good. That's what I enjoy about some of the big cities, is that you don't get in these little towns very often. They try and, where we're from has like, oh my gosh, 9 bajillion restaurants. Marika has been to all of them every week. Yeah, that is a definite huge advantage. And of all the restaurants we have in our little town, they all suck. There's literally one place that I can think of that I would consider not your mainstream, like off the back of a truck, just warmed up and brought out to you. Like this weekend, true story, we knew the whole coronavirus thing was going to shut down the restaurants and bars and stuff. So my lovely wife and I went out for St. Patty's Day in some live music. And at a local restaurant, we had to go quite a few towns over and wait an hour to get in and blah, blah, blah. And we sit down, and I thought, okay, this is like a little hole-in-the-wall type restaurant. This is definitely a mom and pop place. We knew the singer. That's why we chose the restaurant. And we actually sat at the table next to the owner and her family. Like the matriarch was there, the mother was there, and looked like some daughter or some grandkids or something were running around. So we thought, okay, the owner's beside us. We're going to get good service for one. And imposter. I did. And I sat there and I ordered a lasagna, and Veronica ordered this really amazing salad. I wish I would have got a salad now that I got what I got. I got a lasagna. And the way the restaurant was, they specialize in pizza, but neither one of us was really in the mood for pizza, so we got the other standoffs on the menu. And I thought, because it's a mom and pop place, they're going to make their own lasagna. It's going to be, it's not going to be boxed lasagna. Well, it was boxed. And when I got to it, the edges were all hot, but when I got to the middle, it was still like ice cold. Clearly, they nuked it, right? Or didn't nuke it enough anyways. So at some point, I ate about halfway, and my server finally comes over, and she goes, oh, can I box it up for you? And I said, yeah, sure, I'll take the rest home. And I said, but I just want you to know that, I wasn't being a goof, and I said it politely, that it's cold. It was cold in the center. And she's like, oh, do you want me to throw it out? I'm like, no, this is costing me $20. I'm going to throw it out. I'll take it home, and I'll nuke it properly. And she goes, yeah, they must not have nuked it enough in the back. She literally said they didn't nuke it enough in the back. My wife's like, oh, my gosh, I can't believe she just said that. And the killer part was, knowing that I couldn't eat my meal, she didn't do anything. She didn't offer, any reduction of the bill. She didn't have to pay for the meal, take it off the bill, whatever the case is. And I was kind of disappointed, not to say the least. So even when you think you're getting an authentic family-run restaurant, it's still boxed. Bleh. You invited Nappy to try hand-pulled noodle in Toronto when he came. Where'd you guys go? I want to see if I know the place. Is it an older place or is it a newer type place, Sal? I don't doubt that he loved it. There's some places downtown that are just phenomenal food. Like, like I worked right downtown. So you got the main drag, the name escapes me now, with the Union Station and the CN Tower and all that kind of stuff. And that runs east-west in Toronto, Sal. I worked on the severe west end. So you got Yonge Street kind of divides the middle of it. I was on the west end there, where there's like on the other side of the tracks that the GO train and all that rides on, there's like a historical kind of like village. What do they call those things? Oh my God, I am having a total brain fart. Ooh, no, why? Ooh, no, what? Isn't that like a card game? Oh, yeah, I wouldn't know. Yeah, no, I mean, the Eaton Center is right close to where I used to work, actually. I have a really sad story for the Eaton Center. What are you even talking about, Marika? You can't what? Yeah, these were like literally the doorway was almost as wide as the restaurant. You double the doorway, and that would be the whole restaurant. There'd be like one seat. There'd be on one side of the restaurant was like the laneway to walk to the back, and then the other side of the restaurant was just double seating all the way down the one wall, and that's what you'd eat at. The one that I can't remember what it was called, but it was just phenomenal, and all the drivers knew. So when I would go on runs with the guys, and I'd always say, hey, let's go for lunch. I'll buy you lunch, since you got the VP of the company with you, it's a little pressure. So I'll buy you some lunch just for dealing with me, being with you today. And they'd always take me all the drivers would take me to the same place, always. It's like, do you guys all go anywhere besides this one restaurant, considering you're all over the city, for crying out loud? But, yeah, it's craziness. Well, no matter what happens, I'm thankful for you guys. I'm thankful that you are my community. And I'm thankful that I'm part of your community. Your food is ew. My food is not ew. I'm thankful that you guys all show up every Monday in your dribs and drabs, come and go. I'm thankful for your input. Sal, I'm really thankful for your input today. I'm thankful for your support of Nappy, given his time and space right now. And I'm sure with his situation, this coronavirus thing can't be helping. And I'm we don't hold back, Morg. She knows she can do it because she doesn't live in my house anymore. Because if you lived in my house, I tell you. But yeah, so I think we all just need to continue to support each other during this time and make sure that, don't be shy with each other. Talk openly. That's the great thing about our channel. I love the fact that our channel here speaks openly, and we roast each other when we need to. But I want you guys all to stay safe. Make good decisions the next couple weeks. If martial law happens and the military shows up in your town, be careful. Yeah, and that's everywhere right now, Sal. Everyone's banned, Even if I was to go to Canada, I would be afraid that they would not let me back into the U.S. So we're postponing family visits right now. I was going to call my dad actually yesterday, but we decided to go for ice cream instead. National Guard is next step. Yep. That's crazy, Celery, that the Prime Minister of the country has to announce that there's no more travel. Yeah. So are you're obviously staying put then. You have to. Yeah, they won't let you back. It'll be months. Yeah, you did definitely do it when you were at home too. But we had fun. We always had fun. Thank you for those folks who subscribe to the Risk Immersed YouTube channel as well. I noticed I got a couple more subs the past hour, so thank you for doing that. But anyways, our 2 hours are up. Thank you all for sitting with me today and talking about this. I know it's been stressful for everybody. I might stream again this week. I might up my streams a little bit just to check in and say hi to everyone, see how everyone's doing, and give everyone a chance just to vent. Because I know that's important for a lot of us to just have a place where we can go and we can just barf and get our frustrations out. I don't know what I'm going to do for the gym. How am I going to keep this monstrosity going? So, celery.
Okay. Everything's great. Everything is awesome.
Bless you, Sal. I owe you some push-ups, buddy. I'll do that right now before we sign off. And in Kingpin, who has my son, benching you would be ineffective. You are
Everything's
barely my
great.
warm-up.
Everything.
Can we raid
is
Dingle? We can
awesome.
absolutely raid Dingle if he's live right now. Let me see if I can pull him up. Let me pull him. So no one leave yet. We gotta see if we can raid
Okay.
Dingleberry.
Everything's great. Everything is awesome.
Dingleberry McGee. Let's do it. Escape from Tarkov. So, thank you. I'm gonna do
Okay.
some push-ups real quick, and then we'll raid
Everything's
Dingleberry.
great.
So hang tight. No one leave.
Everything is
Stick
awesome.
around. Get into Dingleberry McGee's stream and say hi. Drop some Risk of Mercy emotes. But here's my dono cam for Celery Bear.
Everything's great. Everything is awesome.
Kate Cam, get off my back, kid. All right, let's say hi to Dingleberry McGee. Love you guys. We'll see you guys hopefully this week. Dodger, don't ever raid my channel again. Get banned, nerd. He's banned. You're a mod. Do it yourself. All right, guys. Say hi to Dingle for me.
For the most part. Hey, Risk.